Jake Morrison sat in the captain's chair and stared at the empty space ahead. The stars looked the same as they always did. Small points of light scattered across the darkness. He had been doing this job for 10 years now, flying through space, checking planets, looking for anything interesting. Most days were boring. Today felt like another boring day. "Captain, we're picking up something strange," said Amy Carter from her station. She was his second in command and his best friend. They had known each other since training academy. Jake sat up straight. "What kind of strange?" "A ship, a big one, really big. It just appeared out of nowhere." Amy's fingers moved quickly across her controls. "I've never seen anything like it." Jake walked over to her station and looked at the screen. The ship was massive. It looked almost alive, with curves and flowing lines instead of the hard angles of human ships. Beautiful patterns glowed on its surface like veins carrying light through a body. "Try to contact them," Jake said. His heart beat faster. In 10 years of space travel, he had never met an alien before. Humans had found empty planets and old ruins, but never living aliens. Amy sent out the standard greeting message in 20 different languages. They waited. Nothing came back. She tried again. Still nothing. "Maybe they don't want to talk," said Ben Hayes from the medical station. He was young and nervous about everything. "Or maybe they can't understand us," added Lisa Park. She was the ship's engineer, always calm and logical. Then the communication system beeped. Everyone jumped. A message appeared on the main screen. It was in English. Perfect English. "We seek the one called Morrison." The bridge went silent. Everyone turned to look at Jake. His mouth felt dry. How did they know his name? How did they know English? "Captain, what do we do?" Amy asked quietly. Before Jake could answer, a beam of white light shot from the alien ship and hit the horizon's edge. The whole vessel shook. Alarms started ringing. "They're pulling us in," Lisa shouted over the noise. "No," Jake said, reading the displays. "They're pulling me in." The light wrapped around Jake like invisible hands. He felt his feet leave the floor. Amy reached for him, but the light pushed her back gently. "Jake?" she yelled. "It's okay," he said, though he wasn't sure it was. "I'll be fine. Keep the ship safe." The light pulled him through the walls of his own ship like they weren't there. Space appeared around him, but he could breathe somehow. The light protected him. He floated across the distance between the two ships and passed through the hull of the alien vessel. Jake's feet touched solid ground. The light faded. He stood in a huge hall made of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. The ceiling was so high, he couldn't see the top. Patterns moved across the walls like living art. He was alone. His hand moved to his belt, but he had no weapon. Just his uniform and his racing heart. "Hello," his voice echoed in the vast space. A door opened at the far end of the hall. Someone walked through. Jake's breath caught in his throat. She was tall. Taller than any human. Her skin was silver and seemed to shimmer with its own light. She wore flowing robes that moved like water. Her face was beautiful, in a way that was almost human, but not quite. High cheekbones, a delicate nose, full lips. But her eyes were what made Jake stare. They looked like galaxies, full of swirling stars and colors he had no names for. She walked toward him slowly. Her expression was controlled, calm, royal. She moved like a queen. Then she saw his face clearly and stopped walking. Her composure cracked. Her eyes went wide. One hand came up to cover her mouth. "It's you," she whispered. Her voice was musical. Beautiful. "It's really you." "I'm Captain Jake Morrison of the," he started. She ran. Actually ran toward him. Her robes flew behind her. Before Jake could react, she threw her arms around him and pulled him into a tight embrace. She was warm. She smelled like flowers he had never encountered before. Her whole body trembled. "At last," she whispered against his shoulder. "At last I've found you, my human." Tears fell from her eyes onto his uniform. Jake stood frozen, arms at his sides, completely confused. He had never met this being before. He was sure of it. He would have remembered. "I'm sorry," Jake said carefully, "but I think you have the wrong person. We've never met." She pulled back enough to look at his face. Her hands came up to cup his cheeks. Her touch was gentle. She studied every feature, like she was memorizing him or remembering him. "We have met," she said. "Perhaps not you exactly, but your soul. I know you. I've known you for 1,000 years. 1,000 years? That's impossible." "I'm only 35. She smiled through her tears. A sad, beautiful smile. So much to explain. So much you don't know yet. She finally released him and stepped back. She wiped her eyes and took a deep breath. The royal composure returned to her face. "I am Queen Lyrae of the Velithran Empire. I have been searching for you across space and time. You are the descendant of someone very important. Someone I lost long ago." "Descendant?" "A man named Connor Morrison. He came to my world centuries ago through a tear in space. We formed a bond, a connection deeper than friendship. Then he was taken from me by another tear. I've been searching for any trace of him ever since. And now, I've found you. His blood runs in your veins. His soul resonates in yours." Jake's head spun. This was crazy. "I don't understand any of this. I know. But you must listen carefully. You are in danger. With present. With you are in danger. Your world is in danger. Both our peoples face a terrible threat. And you, Jake Morrison, are the only one who can stop it." "Me? I'm just a ship captain. I explore empty space. I'm nobody special." Lyrae's galaxy eyes fixed on his. "You are special. You carry something inside you that the universe needs. But I cannot force you. You must choose. Will you come with me willingly? Will you let me show you the truth?" Jake looked back toward where his ship waited. He thought of Amy and Ben and Lisa, his crew, his responsibility. But he also thought about the tears on this alien queen's face. About danger, coming. About his ancestor apparently traveling through space rifts. "If I say no," he asked, "then I will return you to your ship, and we will say goodbye. I will keep searching. And the darkness will come for all of us eventually." Something in her voice told him she wasn't lying. Something in his chest pulled him toward her. A feeling he couldn't explain. Like recognition of something he had never known. "I'll come," Jake said. "But my crew comes too. I don't go anywhere without them." Lyrae smiled again. This time it reached her eyes. "Agreed. Your loyalty honors you." She held out her hand. "Come then. Jake Morrison. Let me show you why the universe brought us together." End read. Jake Morrison. Jake took her hand. Her fingers intertwined with his felt right somehow. Natural. Like coming home to a place he had never been. The crystal hall around them began to glow brighter. Jake's journey into the impossible had only just begun. Jake returned to his ship 3 hours later. The light beam carried him back through space and deposited him gently on the bridge. Amy rushed forward and grabbed his shoulders, checking him for injuries. "Are you okay? What happened? Did they hurt you?" "I'm fine," Jake said. But he wasn't fine. His head was full of impossible things. Queen Lyrae had told him so much. About the Velithran people. About Connor Morrison. About an ancient prophecy and a coming threat called the Void Collective. It all sounded like a crazy dream. "Captain, your vital signs are elevated," Ben said, scanning him with a medical device. "Heart rate high. Brain activity unusual. I'm just processing a lot of information." Jake sat down heavily in his chair. Everyone gathered around him. 4 faces, waiting for answers. His crew. his friends. He told them everything. About Queen Lyrae. About his ancestor, Connor Morrison, who had somehow traveled to her world centuries ago. About the bond they had shared. About how she had been searching for any trace of him for 1,000 years by her people's time. About the Void Collective, a hive mind species that consumed entire planets and was heading toward both Earth and Velithra Prime. She wants me to go with her to her homeworld, Jake finished. She says I'm the key to stopping this threat. Something about my DNA, my frequency. Amy crossed her arms. This could be a trap. We know nothing about these aliens. Amy, I don't think it's a trap, Jake said quietly. You didn't see her face. Amy. She was crying. Real tears. Whatever this is, she believes it. Believing something doesn't make it true, Lisa pointed out. She could be crazy. Or mistaken. Or she could be right, Ben added nervously. If there really is a threat coming, shouldn't we at least investigate? They argued for another hour. Finally, they voted. 3 wanted to go. Amy and Lisa were against it. But Amy sighed and said she wouldn't let Jake go alone. If we're doing this, we're all doing this together, she said. But I'm bringing weapons. And at the first sign of trouble, we leave. Fair enough, Jake agreed. They contacted Queen Lyrae. Within minutes, her ship sent over a transport that could carry all of them safely. It was a small vessel that looked like a teardrop made of light. They boarded it, leaving their ship on autopilot. The journey to Velithra Prime took 2 days through something called a slip tunnel. It was faster than anything human technology could do. Jake spent the time talking with Lyrae through a communication link. She told him about her people, their culture, their history. The Velithran were ancient. They had been traveling space when humans were still living in caves. But somewhere along the way, they had lost something important. They had become too logical, too controlled. They had lost the ability to feel things deeply. Then Connor Morrison had arrived, and he had shown them what they were missing. His emotions, his passion, his capacity for love and hope had been like fire to people who had forgotten warmth. We call your kind soul singers, Lyrae explained, because your emotions create a resonance, a frequency that vibrates through space itself. We lost that ability millions of years ago. When Connor came, it was like hearing music after being deaf for centuries. What happened to him? Jake asked. Her face fell. Another rift opened. He tried to return to his own time. I begged him to stay, but he had family he needed to find. The rift took him, but something went wrong. He vanished. I've searched for him ever since, hoping that somewhere, somewhen, his essence survived. And you think I'm him somehow? Not exactly. But you carry his quantum signature. His soul left an imprint on his bloodline. Everyone descended from Connor Morrison has a piece of him inside them, and you have the strongest resonance I've ever detected. Jake didn't know what to think about that. When they finally arrived at Velithra Prime, Jake's breath was taken away. The planet was beautiful beyond words. 3 moons orbited it, each a different color. The continents glowed with cities made of crystal and light. No smoke, no pollution, just pure energy and harmony. They landed in the capital city. Thousands of Velithran gathered to see them. They all looked similar to Lyrae, tall and silver, with those incredible galaxy eyes. But they stared at Jake and his crew with wonder. Some reached out as if to touch them, drawn by their human energy. Lyrae led them through the palace. It was enormous, with halls that seemed to go on forever. Everything was art. Every surface, every wall, every ceiling. Beauty everywhere. You honor us greatly by coming here, Lyrae said. Few outsiders have ever seen the heart of Velithra Prime. She brought them to their quarters. Each crew member got their own room bigger than most human apartments. Jake's room had a balcony overlooking the entire city. He stood there as the sun set, watching the lights come alive below. Someone knocked on his door. Lyrae entered, wearing simpler robes now. She looked tired. "May I speak with you alone?" she asked. Of course. She walked to the balcony and stood beside him. For a while they just watched the city together in silence. "I haven't been completely honest with you," she finally said. Jake's stomach tightened. "About what? About why I need you specifically?" "It's not just about the frequency or the prophecy. It's more personal than that." She turned to face him. "When I touched you on my ship, when I embraced you, I felt something I haven't felt in centuries. A connection. Not just to Connor's memory, but to you. Jake Morrison. The man standing here now." Her words made Jake's heart beat faster. He had felt it too, but he hadn't wanted to admit it. The pull toward her. "I don't understand how that's possible," he said. "We just met. Some bonds transcend time and logic." The Velithran used to believe in soul matches. Two beings whose frequencies harmonize perfectly. It's rare. Most people never find theirs. I thought I had found mine with Connor. But now I wonder if the universe was preparing me for you instead. Jake didn't know what to say. This was all happening too fast. Alien queens and ancient prophecies and now talk of soul matches. He was just a ship captain from Earth who liked simple things like coffee and old movies. "Lyrae, I need you to be straight with me. What exactly is this threat? What's the Void Collective?" Her expression darkened. "Come, I'll show you." She led him deep into the palace, downstairs that went far underground. They entered a room called the Sacred Archive. It was circular, with walls covered in glowing symbols. In the center was a pedestal with a crystal sphere. "This holds our genetic memories," Lyrae explained. "Everything our ancestors experienced, recorded, and stored. I want to show you what we face." She placed her hand on the sphere, and it began to glow. Images appeared in the air around them. Jake saw space battles, planets being consumed by dark clouds, millions of ships moving as one. And through it all, a terrible hunger, an emptiness that wanted to devour everything. "The Void Collective is a hive mind," Lyrae said. "Billions of individual beings merged into one consciousness. They spread through the galaxy, consuming all biological life and converting it into more of themselves. They've destroyed thousands of civilizations. How do we stop them? There is a weapon. The Harmonizer. Built by an ancient race before even my people reached the stars. It can disrupt hive minds by forcing individual consciousness back into separated beings. But it requires a specific frequency to activate. A frequency that only exists in one place. Let me guess. My DNA. Yes. Connor Morrison's quantum signature is the key. When he passed through the rifts, he was exposed to energies that altered him on a fundamental level. That alteration passed to his descendants. You carry the activation frequency in your very cells. The images faded. Jake sat down on the floor, overwhelmed. "So, what you're saying is, if I don't help, this Void Collective will destroy everything." "Yes. And if I do help, I might die." "Yes." Jake laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Great. Just great." He looked up at her. "Why me? Why does the universe keep putting me in impossible situations?" Lyrae knelt beside him. She took his hand in hers. "Because you're strong enough to handle them. I see it in you, Jake. You have your ancestors' courage, his heart, and something more, something uniquely yours." Her touch was warm, comforting. In that moment, Jake made his decision. "Okay," he said. "I'll do it. I'll help you activate this harmonizer. But first, I need to talk to my crew. They deserve to know everything." "Of course." An alarm suddenly blared through the palace. Red lights flashed. Lyrae jumped to her feet, her expression shifting to one of shock. "What's happening?" Jake demanded. She ran to a wall panel and pressed her hand against it. Information flooded across the surface in alien symbols. Her face went pale. "They're here," she whispered. "The Void Collective. They've found us." and they're heading straight for this planet. Jake felt ice in his veins. How long do we have? Lyray's galaxy eyes met his. Hours. Maybe less. They're coming for you, Jake. They can sense your frequency, and they'll destroy my entire world to eliminate the one being who can stop them. The palace shook as defense systems came online. Jake ran after Lyrae through corridors filled with Velithran people rushing to their stations. Everyone moved with purpose, but no panic. They had trained for this. Where are we going? Jake shouted over the alarms. To gather your crew and get you to the harmonizer chamber. It's our only chance now. They burst into the guest quarters, where Amy, Ben, and Lisa were already gathering their equipment. Amy had her weapon drawn. What's happening? She demanded. The enemy is here, Jake said quickly. The Void Collective. We need to move now. Ben's face went white. We should get back to our ship. We should leave. There's no time, Lyrae said. They'll destroy your vessel before you reach it. Your only hope is to help us activate the harmonizer. If we succeed, you'll be safe. If we fail, nowhere in the galaxy will be safe. Lisa grabbed her equipment pack. Then we better not fail. What do you need us to do? Jake felt a surge of pride in his crew. Even terrified, they were ready to fight. Lyrae led them deeper into the palace, down a passage that descended far below ground. The walls here were older, made of dark stone instead of crystal. Ancient symbols covered every surface. The air felt heavy with age and power. They entered a massive underground chamber. In the center stood the harmonizer. It looked like a tower made of metal and crystal combined. Reaching up to a ceiling Jake couldn't see in the darkness above, energy pulsed through it in waves of blue and gold light. Around its base, Velithran engineers worked frantically at control stations. This is it? Amy asked, staring up at the tower. This is the physical anchor, Lyrae explained. The weapon itself is orbital. This device will send the activation frequency into space, where it will amplify through the satellite network surrounding our planet. From there, the pulse will spread across the sector, disrupting any hive mind within range. How do we activate it? Jake asked. An older Velithran male approached. He wore robes marked with symbols of authority. I am High Technician Corin. The activation requires two things. First, a being carrying the Morrison frequency must be present. Second, that being must achieve perfect mental harmony with another individual. Their combined resonance will provide the power needed. Mental harmony, Jake repeated. What does that mean? A complete joining of consciousness, Lyrae said quietly. A melding of minds. It's a sacred ritual among my people, usually only done between life partners. Your mind and mine must become one temporarily. Jake looked at her. That sounds dangerous. It is. For both of us. Your mind isn't trained for this kind of connection. The strain could kill you. And if your consciousness collapses while we're joined, mine could collapse too. Great. Is there any other way? Corin shook his head. None. The frequency alone isn't enough. It needs the amplification that only a perfectly harmonized pair can provide. The chamber shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Somewhere above them, the battle had begun. Jake heard distant explosions and felt the vibrations through the floor. How long will this take? Amy asked. If successful, only minutes, Corin said. But preparation requires at least an hour. We must configure the system to the captain's specific frequency and prepare both participants mentally. Another explosion, closer this time. The lights flickered. An hour we might not have, Lisa said, checking a data pad showing the planet's defense status. Their shields are being overwhelmed. The Void Collective has hundreds of ships. They're hitting the planet from every direction. Jake made a decision. Then we start now. Corin, do whatever you need to do. Prepare the system. Lyrae and I will do this mental harmony thing. Amy. Lisa. Help the engineers. Ben, I need you monitoring my vitals. If something goes wrong, you pull me out. Understand? Everyone nodded, and moved to their positions. Lyrae touched Jake's arm. "Come with me. We need to prepare ourselves." She led him to a smaller chamber off to the side. The room was circular, with a smooth floor. In the center were two cushions facing each other. The walls glowed with soft light. "Sit," Lyrae instructed. She sat on one cushion, and Jake took the other, facing her. Their knees almost touched. "What do I do?" Jake asked. "First, breathe. Clear your mind of fear and doubt. This will only work if you open yourself completely. No walls, no defenses. You must let me see everything you are. Everything? Every memory. Every feeling. Every secret. And I will show you the same. There can be no barriers between us. I will show you the 4. I will 7. Jake swallowed hard. He thought about all the things he had never told anyone. His fears. His regrets. The nightmares he had from his first mission. When crew members died because of his mistake. The loneliness he carried. The feeling that he was never quite good enough. "I don't know if I can do that," he admitted. Lyrae reached out and took his hands. Her galaxy eyes looked into his with such compassion that his throat tightened. "I know you're frightened. I am too. But I trust you, Jake Morrison. I trust you with everything I am. Will you trust me?" He thought about his crew above them fighting for their lives. He thought about Earth. Billions of humans who had no idea this threat existed. He thought about Lyrae and her people. This beautiful civilization that had searched for hope across centuries. "Yes," he said. "I trust you. Then close your eyes and listen to my voice." Jake closed his eyes. Lyrae began to speak in her own language, words that sounded like music. The sounds washed over him, and he felt himself relaxing despite the danger. His breathing slowed. His heart rate steadied. "Now," Lyrae said softly, switching back to English. "Reach for me. Not with your hands. With your mind. Feel for my presence." Jake didn't understand how to do that, but he tried. He imagined reaching out into the darkness behind his closed eyelids. And then he felt it. A warmth. A light. A presence that was distinctly Lyrae. "Yes," she encouraged. "Like that. Don't be afraid." The presence grew stronger. And suddenly, Jake wasn't alone in his own head anymore. He felt Lyrae there with him, her consciousness brushing against his. Images flashed between them. Memories. He saw her childhood on Valithra Prime, thousands of years ago. Saw her coronation as queen. Saw her meeting Connor Morrison. The wonder on her face, as she felt human emotions for the first time. Saw her grief when Connor vanished. Centuries of loneliness and searching, and she saw him. His childhood on Earth. His parents who had died in a shuttle accident when he was 12. His decision to join the space program. To honor them. His first command. His failures and successes. His crew who had become his family. And underneath it all, the deep loneliness that matched her own. "We're the same," Jake whispered, eyes still closed. "Both of us have been alone." "Not anymore," Lyrae replied. Her voice was in his head now, not his ears. "I'm here. You're here. Together." Their consciousnesses intertwined more deeply. Jake felt her emotions as if they were his own. Her love for her people. Her determination to protect them. Her growing feelings for him, warm and bright and terrifying. And she felt his courage, his loyalty, his willingness to sacrifice himself for others. They were becoming one being, one mind. The boundaries between them blurred and faded. Corin's voice broke through their connection. "The system is ready. Bring them to the harmonizer." Jake and Lyrae opened their eyes simultaneously. They were still separate people, but something had changed fundamentally. They could feel each other now, even without touching. Their minds remained linked. Lynchers won. Their minds remained linked. "That was just the preparation," Lyrae said aloud. The full joining will be much more intense. They stood together and walked back to the main chamber. Ben rushed over to Jake with his medical scanner. Your brain activity is off the charts, Ben said nervously. But your vitals are stable. I think. I'm fine, Jake said. He felt better than fine. He felt complete in a way he never had before. The chamber shook violently. A massive explosion somewhere above sent cracks spiderwebbing across the ceiling. Amy grabbed a support pillar to stay upright. We're out of time, she shouted. If you're going to do this, do it now. Jake and Lyra moved to the base of the harmonizer tower. Corin directed them to stand on two circular platforms that glowed with golden light. As soon as they stepped on them, energy fields surrounded both of them. Jake felt it humming through his body. The harmonizer will amplify your joined consciousness, Corin explained rapidly. It will hurt. Your mind isn't designed for this level of neural activity, but you must hold the connection until the pulse is complete. If you break apart too soon, the weapon won't activate fully. How will we know when it's done? Jake asked. You'll know. Now prepare yourselves. Joining. In 3, 2, 1. The harmonizer activated. Energy surged through the platforms and into Jake's body. He gasped as Lyra's consciousness slammed into his with the force of a star exploding. Not brushing against him now, but merging completely. Their minds became one. Jake couldn't tell where he ended, and Lyra began. He was seeing through 4 eyes, feeling with 2 hearts, thinking with 2 brains, working as one. Every experience she had ever had flooded through him. Thousands of years of memory, knowledge, emotion. It was too much. Too intense. His human mind couldn't process it all. He started to scream but couldn't tell if the sound came from his mouth or hers. The harmonizer pulled more power from them, using their combined consciousness as fuel. Energy poured upward through the tower and launched into space toward the orbital satellites. Through Lyra's connection to her planet's defense network, Jake could see the battle above. Void collective ships swarmed like insects. Dark vessels with no beauty, no art, only function. They fired weapons that tore through shields and armor. Velithran ships fought back desperately, but they were outnumbered. Then the pulse began. The harmonizer's energy reached the satellite network and amplified. A wave of psychic force exploded outward from Velithra Prime, expanding in all directions. It hit the Void Collective ships and passed through them like light through glass. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Jake felt it through his connection to Lyra. Felt every single mind in the Void Collective hive suddenly scream. They were individuals again. Separated. Confused. Terrified. Their ships stopped firing and began to drift. Some collided with each other. Others tried to flee. It's working, Jake heard himself say, though he wasn't sure which mouth spoke. But the pain was unbearable. His mind was burning. He could feel himself starting to slip, consciousness fading like a candle in a storm. Hold on, Lyra's voice pleaded in his head. Just a little longer. Please, Jake. Hold on. He tried. He focused on her presence inside his mind, used it as an anchor. But his body was failing. Through Ben's medical scanner, he could see his own vital signs dropping. His heart was struggling. His brain activity spiking to dangerous levels. The pulse reached its maximum range. The harmonizer began to power down. But Jake was already gone. Consciousness slipping away into darkness. The last thing he felt was Lyra screaming his name. Jake walked through darkness. Not the darkness of space or night, but something deeper. A place where light had never existed. His footsteps made no sound. He couldn't feel his body, couldn't feel anything except the strange sensation of moving forward. Where am I? He called out. His voice echoed strangely, like it was bouncing off walls that weren't there. You're between, a voice answered from somewhere ahead. A figure appeared in the darkness. A man who looked remarkably like Jake, but older. He wore clothes from another era, something humans might have worn 2 centuries ago. His eyes were kind and sad at the same time. Connor Morrison, Jake said. He knew somehow, recognized his ancestor. Hello, Jake. I've been waiting to meet you. Am I dead? Connor smiled. Not exactly. You're in a place where consciousness exists without a body. Your physical form is in a healing chamber on Velithra Prime. You've been there for 3 days, but your mind is here with me. Jake tried to process that. 3 days. What happened? Did the harmonizer work? Yes. The pulse disrupted the Void Collective. Most of their ships retreated. But the strain almost killed you. Your human body wasn't designed to handle that much neural energy. Lyrae barely got you to the medical facility in time. Is everyone else okay? My crew? The Velithren? They're fine. But Lyrae isn't. She sits by your healing chamber day and night, refusing to leave. She blames herself for asking you to do this. Jake felt a pull in his chest. A need to get back to her. I chose to help. She didn't force me. I know. But she loves you, Jake. Really loves you. Not as a replacement for me, but as yourself. Jake sat down in the darkness, even though there was nothing to sit on. The space seemed to support him anyway. You loved her too, didn't you? Jake asked. Connor sat beside him. I did. More than I thought possible. She was everything beautiful and strange and wonderful about the universe. But I made a choice to leave. I had a family back on Earth. A wife. Children. I couldn't abandon them. Even for Lyrae. The rift that brought me to her world opened again, and I tried to go home. But you didn't make it. No. Something went wrong. The rift tore me apart on a quantum level. My body was destroyed. But my consciousness, my essence, it survived. It imprinted on my DNA before I died. Everyone descended from me carries a piece of what I experienced. Carries the quantum signature that exposure to the rift gave me. And that's why I could activate the harmonizer. Exactly. I became a key. Jake. A key that could only be used by my own bloodline. I never meant for that to happen. It just did. Jake looked at his ancestor. What are you exactly? A ghost? A memory? I'm an echo of consciousness preserved in your genetic code. When you connected with Lyrae through the harmonizer, you activated parts of your DNA that are normally dormant. You woke me up, and now I can talk to you, guide you. Why? What do you want me to do? Connor's expression became serious. You have a choice to make, Jake. You're hovering between life and death right now. Your body is trying to heal, but the damage was severe. You can let go, slip away. Find peace in whatever comes next. Or you can fight. Come back. But if you come back, you won't be entirely human anymore. What do you mean? The exposure to Velithran energy changed you on a fundamental level. If you wake up, you'll be something new. Part human, part Velithran. Share thoughts. Your lifespan will extend far beyond normal human years. You'll be caught between 2 worlds. Jake thought about that. Thought about never being fully human again. About living for centuries while everyone he knew aged and died. It sounded lonely. Frightening. But you'll have Lyrae, Connor added softly. She'll live those centuries with you. You'll never be alone the way she was. The way I left her. Juan. You want me to stay with her. I want you to have the choice I didn't get to make. I was ripped away. You can choose. Choose to go back to her. Choose to build the life with her that I couldn't have. Jake stood up. What about my crew? My life as a human? Your crew will support whatever you decide. They're your family, and they love you. As for your human life, it doesn't have to end. You can still be Captain Jake Morrison, still explore space, but you'll do it with abilities beyond what you had before, and with someone who understands you completely by your side. The darkness around them began to lighten. Jake felt a pulling sensation, like something was calling him back. "You're waking up," Connor said. "Your body has healed enough. The Velithran medical technology, combined with your inherited quantum signature, has repaired the damage. But you have to choose. Come back, or let go." Jake thought about Lyrae, about the connection they had shared, about how complete he had felt when their minds were joined. He thought about Amy, Ben, and Lisa, about Earth and all the adventures still waiting in the universe. "I choose to come back," Jake said firmly. Connor smiled. "Good. That's what I hoped you'd say. Live well, Jake Morrison. Live the life I couldn't have. And tell Lyrae that I'm proud of her, that I never stopped loving her. But that it's time for her to move forward, to love you as you deserve. I will." The pulling sensation grew stronger. The light increased until it was blinding. Jake felt his body again, felt weight and substance returning. He gasped as air filled his lungs. His eyes opened. He was in a chamber filled with soft blue light. Machines surrounded him, monitoring his vitals and feeding energy into his body. His skin tingled with unfamiliar sensations. He felt different, stronger, more aware, and he felt Lyrae. Felt her presence nearby like a warm sun just beyond a wall. Jake sat up slowly. The machines beeped in alarm, but he disconnected them carefully. His movements felt fluid, easier than before. He looked at his hands. They looked the same, but there was a faint luminescence to his skin now, barely visible, evidence of the change Connor had warned about. The chamber door opened. Lyrae stood there, eyes wide with shock. She looked exhausted, her robes wrinkled, her hair less perfect than before. She had been here a while. "Jake?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "Hey," he said, managing a weak smile. "Sorry for worrying you." She ran to him and threw her arms around him, pulling him into a desperate embrace. Her whole body shook with sobs. "You were dying," she choked out. "I thought I'd lost you. I thought I'd killed you by asking you to help. I'm so sorry." Jake held her tight. He could feel her emotions now, crystal clear. Her grief, her guilt, her overwhelming relief, and underneath it all, love. So much love, it took his breath away. "It's okay," he murmured. "I'm here. I chose this. Remember? And I'd choose it again." She pulled back to look at his face. Her hands cupped his cheeks, checking that he was real. Then, she noticed his eyes. Jake didn't need a mirror to know what she was seeing. His eyes probably looked different now, reflecting some of the Velithran changes. "You're transformed," she whispered. "The medical staff said you might be, but I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want you to lose your humanity because of me. I haven't lost it. I've just expanded it." Connor explained everything. "He spoke to me while I was unconscious." "Connor?" Lyrae's eyes widened further. "You spoke with him? His consciousness lives in my DNA. He wanted you to know that he's proud of you, that he never stopped loving you, but that it's time to move forward. Time to love someone new." Tears streamed down Lyrae's face again, but she smiled through them. He always was wise. Did the harmonizer work? Is everyone safe? Yes. The Void Collective ships retreated. Most of them were destroyed or disabled when the hive mind collapsed. The few that survived fled the sector. Your crew is fine. They've been taking turns sitting with you. But I made them rest. They were exhausted. How long was I out? 3 days. The longest 3 days of my life. Jake stood up carefully. His legs felt strong, steady. Better than they should after being unconscious for 3 days. He walked to a window and looked out at Velithra Prime. The city was beautiful, lit by the setting sun. There's still one ship, Lyrae said quietly. One Void Collective mothership survived the pulse. It's damaged, but it's regrouping beyond the system's edge. Our analysts believe it will attempt one final attack, a suicide run aimed directly at this planet. Jake's stomach dropped. When? Soon. Hours, maybe. Our fleet is preparing, but we're weak from the first battle. If that mothership reaches us, it could destroy the entire capital city. Then we stop it. Jake, you just woke up. You need time to recover, to adjust to the changes in your body. He turned to face her. I feel fine. Better than fine. And I'm not letting that thing destroy your world after everything we've been through. He took her hands. But I need your help. I need my crew. And I need a plan. Lee studied his face for a long moment. Then she nodded. Come then. Let's gather everyone. If this is to be our final battle, we face it together. She led him through the palace to a war room where Amy, Ben, and Lisa were studying tactical displays. They all spun around when Jake walked in. Captain! Amy's face broke into a huge smile. She rushed over and hugged him hard. You're awake! Can't get rid of me that easily, Jake said with a grin. Ben immediately started scanning him with medical equipment. Your readings are incredible. Heart rate optimal. Brain function beyond normal human levels. You're producing energy signatures similar to Velithrin biology, but you're still genetically human. This is fascinating. I'm a walking science experiment. Great. But Jake smiled to show he was joking. Lisa pulled up the tactical display. Here's the situation, Captain. One mothership, approximately 3 times larger than anything in Lee fleet. It's repairing itself using some kind of biomechanical technology. Once it's done, it'll jump here and ram straight into the planet's surface. The explosion would be catastrophic. Jake studied the display. An idea formed in his mind. Crazy, but possible. What if we don't let it reach the planet? What if I go to it? Instead, everyone started talking at once. Amy said, absolutely not. Lee said, it was too dangerous. Ben said, Jake was in no condition. Listen! Jake raised his voice. Everyone went quiet. The harmonizer's pulse disrupted the hive mind. But this mothership is trying to restore it. If I can get inside and use my frequency as a weapon, I can destroy what's left of their collective consciousness permanently. The ship would be dead in space. That's suicide, Amy said flatly. You'd have to fly straight into enemy territory alone, not alone. I'll take a Velithrin fighter. And I'll have Lee. Our minds are still linked. She can guide me remotely, help me navigate the ship's interior. Lee grabbed his arm. Jake, I can't lose you again. Not so soon after getting you back. He covered her hand with his. You won't lose me, I promise. I didn't survive that harmonizer activation just to die now. But this is the only way to end this threat for good. They argued for another hour. But eventually, Jake's plan was the only one that had a real chance of success. Amy insisted on preparing the fighter herself. Lisa loaded it with every weapon and defense system they could fit. Ben created a medical kit designed specifically for Jake's new hybrid biology. As Jake prepared to leave, Lee took him aside one final time. If you don't come back, she said, voice breaking, I want you to know that these past weeks have been the happiest I've had in 1,000 years. You gave me hope again. You made me feel alive. Jake pulled her close and kissed her. It was their first real kiss, and it felt like coming home. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. I'm coming back, Jake said firmly. That's not a goodbye kiss. That's a see you soon kiss. Wait for me. I'll wait forever if I have to. Jake climbed into the fighter. It was small, organic looking, designed to respond to thought as much as physical controls. He fit his mind into the ship's systems and felt it respond. Through his link with Lee, he felt her consciousness settle beside his own, a comforting presence. I'm here, she said in his mind. Let's finish this. Together. The fighter launched into space, heading toward the waiting mothership and whatever final battle awaited. Jake's fighter cut through space like a blade. The Velithren ship responded to his thoughts, banking and accelerating almost before he could form the commands in his mind. Through his link with Lyrae, he felt her guiding him, showing him how to merge his consciousness with the ship's systems. The mothership is ahead, Lyrae's voice said in his mind. I'm reading massive energy signatures. It's almost done repairing itself. Jake saw it on his sensors. The Void Collective mothership was enormous, a dark mass of twisted metal and biological matter fused together. It pulsed with sickly red light. Smaller ships floated around it like carrion birds. Those smaller ships are debris from the battle, Lyrae explained. The mothership is absorbing them, using their material to repair itself. It's consuming its own dead. Jake's stomach turned. The Void Collective didn't just destroy life. It perverted it, turned everything into fuel for its hunger. How do I get inside? There's a breaching port on the lower section. It's designed for absorbing ships. If you approach fast enough, the mothership will try to pull you in. Once inside, you'll need to reach the central core. That's where the collective consciousness is strongest. And then you do what you did with the harmonizer. You project your frequency, but this time, you do it directly into their hive mind. It will tear them apart from within. Jake took a deep breath. What happens to me? Lyrae was silent for a moment. I don't know. The backlash could kill you, or it might not. Your hybrid biology might protect you. There's no way to be sure. Honestly, I'm getting tired of plans that might kill me. Despite everything, he felt Lyrae's mental laugh. Then, stop volunteering for them. Where's the fun in that? Jake angled his fighter toward the breaching port. Immediately, the mothership's sensors locked onto him. Defense systems activated. Hundreds of weapons swiveled in his direction. They've seen you, Lyrae warned. Incoming fire. Energy blasts filled space around Jake. He threw the fighter into a spiral, dodging and weaving. A blast clipped his shield, and the whole ship shook. Warning lights flashed. I'm not going to make it, Jake said through gritted teeth. Yes, you will. I'm here. We're connected. Use that. Feel where the attacks are coming from. Before they fire. Jake closed his eyes for a moment and reached out with his new senses. He felt the mothership's presence, dark and hostile. But he also felt the smaller minds controlling the weapons, felt their intent a split second before they fired. He opened his eyes and moved, dodging blasts that hadn't been fired yet. That's it, Lyrae encouraged. Trust your instincts. Jake dove toward the breaching port. The mothership's gravity field grabbed his fighter and pulled him in. The world went dark as he entered the vessel's interior. The inside of the mothership was a nightmare. Walls made of metal and flesh combined. Cables that looked like veins. A smell Jake could sense, even through the sealed fighter. Something rotten and wrong. Emergency lighting cast everything in red shadows. The core is 3 levels down, Lyrae said. Follow the energy signatures. Jake landed the fighter in what looked like a hangar. He grabbed the equipment pack Ben had prepared and stepped out. His boots touched the floor, and he fought the urge to throw up. Everything here felt corrupted. Dead, but not dead. Living, but not alive. He moved through corridors that twisted and turned like intestines. Occasionally he saw what used to be crew members of absorbed ships, their bodies fused into the walls, faces frozen in silent screams. The Void Collective didn't just kill. It absorbed, made everything part of itself. Stay focused, Lyrae said gently in his mind. Don't look at them. Keep moving. Jake descended through access shafts, following the growing sense of hostile presence. The deeper he went, the more he felt the collective consciousness. It was aware of him now. Knew he was here, and it was terrified. He reached the core chamber. It was huge, a spherical room with the core itself suspended in the center. The core looked like a massive brain, pulsing with energy. Cables connected it to every part of the ship. This was the hive mind's heart. As Jake entered, figures emerged from the shadows. Former crew members, their eyes blank and lifeless. The collective was using them as puppets to defend itself. There were dozens of them, maybe hundreds. "Jake, you need to reach the core," Lyrae said urgently. "If those bodies overwhelm you, this is over." Jake pulled out the energy weapon Lisa had given him. He didn't want to shoot what used to be people, but he had no choice. He fired, dropping the nearest figures. But more kept coming. He ran toward the core, fighting his way through. A puppet grabbed his arm, and he felt its grip like ice. He broke free and kept moving. Another tackled him from behind. He rolled and kicked it away. "I'm not going to make it," Jake gasped. "There were too many." "Then I'm coming to you," Lyrae said. "What?" "No, you can't leave the planet. It's too dangerous. I'm not losing you. Not when we're this close." Jake felt her presence in his mind surge stronger. Through their link, she was pushing energy into him, sharing her strength. His hybrid body absorbed it and channeled it through his limbs. He moved faster, hit harder. The puppets fell away. He reached the core and placed his hands on its pulsing surface. It was warm, almost hot. He could feel the collective consciousness inside it. Thousands of individual minds trapped and merged against their will, screaming silently for release. "Now," Lyrae said, "project your frequency. Free them." Jake closed his eyes and reached deep inside himself. He found the quantum signature Connor Morrison had left in his DNA. The frequency that made him unique. He pulled it to the surface and pushed it out through his hands into the core. The effect was immediate. The core convulsed. The collective consciousness screamed as its bonds shattered. Individual minds ripped free from the hive, suddenly separate again. Some of them died immediately, too damaged to survive alone. Others clung to awareness, confused and terrified but finally free. The mothership shuddered. Systems began failing. The puppets surrounding Jake collapsed as the collective's control over them broke. But the backlash Jake had been warned about hit him like a hammer. Pain exploded through his skull. He felt his consciousness fragmenting, pieces of himself scattering like broken glass. "Jake!" Lyrae's voice was the only thing anchoring him. He grabbed onto her presence in his mind like a drowning man grabbing a rope. She held him together, kept his mind from shattering completely. But the pain was unbearable. The core exploded. Energy blasted outward, throwing Jake across the chamber. He hit the wall hard and slid down. His vision went dark at the edges. Blood ran from his nose and ears. "The mothership is breaking apart," Lyrae said. "You need to get out. Now." Jake tried to stand, but his legs wouldn't support him. He crawled toward the exit, dragging himself hand over hand. Behind him, the core chamber collapsed. Debris rained down. The walls buckled. He made it to the hangar where his fighter waited. Somehow he climbed inside and sealed the cockpit. His hands moved over the controls, but nothing happened. The fighter wouldn't start. "The electromagnetic pulse from the core damaged the systems," Lyrae said, panic creeping into her mental voice. "You're trapped. Then I guess this is it," Jake said. He felt strangely calm. He had done what he came to do. The threat was ended. Earth and Valithra Prime were safe. If he died here, at least he died protecting people he loved. "No," Lyrae said firmly. "No." Jake felt something change. Lyrae's presence in his mind surged impossibly strong. Through their link, she was doing something, channeling energy across the distance between the planet and the mothership, using their connection as a bridge. The fighter systems flickered back to life. "What are you doing?" Jake asked. "Giving you my power, bringing you home. Now fly, Jake Morrison. Fly back to me." Jake launched the fighter through the collapsing mothership. Walls fell around him. Explosions rocked the structure. He dodged debris and fire, flying on instinct and Lyrae's guidance. He burst out into space just as the mothership tore itself apart in a final, massive explosion. The shockwave caught his fighter and sent it spinning. Jake fought for control, barely managed to stabilize. His sensors showed Velithra Prime ahead. Home. Safety. He set course and engaged the engines. But the damage was too severe. Warning lights covered his display. The fighter was dying. He wouldn't make it all the way to the planet's surface. "I see you," Lyrae said. "I'm sending rescue ships. Just hold on a little longer." Jake's vision blurred. He was losing consciousness. The strain of everything he had done was finally catching up. He felt himself slipping away again. "Stay with me," Lyrae pleaded. "Please, Jake. Stay with me." He tried. He focused on her voice, her presence. But darkness pulled at him, promising rest, promising peace. The last thing he saw before everything went black was his fighter being caught by a tractor beam. Velithran rescue ships surrounding him, being pulled to safety. When Jake woke again, he was in a medical facility. But this time, the recovery was faster. His hybrid body healed quickly, adapting to the damage. Within hours, he was sitting up. Within a day, he could walk. Lyrae was there when he opened his eyes. She looked exhausted, but relieved. The moment she saw him awake, she started crying. Again, Jake was starting to realize she cried a lot for someone who used to be emotionless. "You did it," she said, hugging him carefully. "The mothership is destroyed. The Void Collective is scattered. Long-range sensors show them retreating from this entire sector. You saved us all." "We saved us all," Jake corrected. "I couldn't have done it without you." His crew arrived soon after. Amy hugged him without saying a word. Ben checked his vitals obsessively. Lisa just smiled and said she knew he'd make it back. They stayed for hours, talking and laughing. Just happy to be alive. Over the following weeks, Jake learned to live with his new hybrid nature. He could sense emotions now, feel the moods of people around him. He could share thoughts with Lyrae across distances. His body was stronger, faster, more resilient. And according to Ben's estimates, he would live for centuries instead of decades. Earth was contacted. News of the Void Collective threat and its defeat spread through human space. Jake became famous, though he didn't particularly want to be. Ambassadors from Earth arrived on Velithra Prime to establish formal relations. Humanity and the Velithran became allies, partners in exploring and protecting the galaxy. Jake decided to stay on Velithra Prime as Earth's first ambassador. His crew supported the decision, though Amy insisted on staying with him. Someone had to keep him out of trouble, she said. Ben and Lisa agreed to rotate between Earth and Velithra, helping establish the embassy and train other humans who wanted to work with the Velithran. Months passed. The galaxy slowly recovered from the Void Collective's rampage. Other civilizations that had survived in hiding began to emerge, joining a growing coalition of free peoples. A council was formed, with representatives from dozens of species, all working together to prevent future threats. One evening, Jake stood on his balcony overlooking the Velithran capital. The twin moons were rising, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. Lyrae joined him, slipping her hand into his. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked softly. "Giving up your old life?" Jake thought about it honestly. He thought about Earth, about simple days exploring empty space, about being fully human. But then he thought about everything he had gained. The ability to sense and share emotions. A connection to Lyrae that transcended normal relationships. A purpose larger than himself. Friends who were now family. A future that stretched centuries ahead instead of decades. "No," he said firmly. "I don't regret it. I didn't give up my old life. I found something better. I found where I belong." Lyrae leaned against him, and he wrapped his arm around her shoulders. They stood together, in comfortable silence. watching the moons rise and the city lights come alive below. "Thank you," Lyrae said, after a while. "For what?" "For choosing to come back. For choosing me. For showing me that even after 1,000 years of loneliness, it's never too late to find connection." Jake kissed the top of her head. "Thank you for searching for me, for not giving up, for hugging me and whispering those words that changed everything." She looked up at him, galaxy eyes reflecting the moonlight. "At last I've found you, my human, and I found you, my alien queen." Below them, representatives from Earth, Velithra, and a dozen other species gathered for the first meeting of the new Galactic Council. It was the beginning of a new era, an era of cooperation, understanding, and hope. Jake Morrison had started as a simple ship captain, just another human exploring the stars. But fate, destiny, or maybe just incredible luck had made him something more. A bridge between species. A hero who proved that humanity's greatest strength wasn't technology or weapons, but the capacity to form connections, to love, to sacrifice, to choose hope over fear. He had become the human an alien queen had searched for across centuries. And together, they would face whatever the universe threw at them. Not as separate beings, but as partners, as family, as two souls who had finally found each other. The stars above them shone bright and clear, full of endless possibilities. The future was uncertain, as futures always are, but Jake faced it with Lyrae by his side, his crew at his back, and a whole galaxy of new friends surrounding him. He had found his place in the universe, and it felt like coming home. The end.